how much I was struggling without booze in that first. As a young kid, you try to fit into the LA world, and I know that it isn't my place to be. I just couldn't stop. Me on a billboard sell something because it was
left unchecked. This is going to go to a dark place.
So one of the things that we've been talking about recently on this channel is flipping the coin. Meaning in Hollywood, we see all the good things, the limelight, the celebrities, the paparazzi, the money, the fame, but we don't see the other side of Hollywood, the darker side. And this is gonna be with Tom Holland in his road to sobriety. And I wanted to talk about this because alcoholism is a big thing that goes around in Hollywood, but also it's something that goes on just within the acting community. And I can speak on that just with my time in drama school and what I've experienced and how there's a lot of similarities from that with all these people in Hollywood. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch Tom Holland in this interview that he did with Rich Roll. And if you want to see the full video and this full interview, then you'll be able to find that, of course, down in the description down below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Can we talk about your sobriety?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So in, what was it, January of 2022, you decided to put the booze in the rear view?
I didn't decide to put the booze in the rear view to begin with. I just decided to do dry January. And in doing dry January, it really scared me because I had a really tough time. I couldn't quite wrap my head around how much I was struggling without booze in that first month. And it really scared me. So I decided as a sort of punishment to myself that I would do February as well as January, and I would do 2 months. The second month was no easier. If anything, like it got a little bit harder. So then again, I was starting to kind of panic thinking, damn, like I have a bit of an alcohol thing. I'd had quite an upsetting conversation with a doctor about my liver a year earlier. And as a young kid, I ignored the doctor as we all do. And I started to think like, oh, wow, maybe I have a bit of an issue here. So then I started to go, I'll do March. And I got through March and started to feel a little bit better, but was still really struggling. So I said to myself, if I can make it to June 1st, which is my birthday, and I can do 6 months without booze, I will have then proved to myself that I don't have a problem. I'm just young and enjoying a drink. And then by the time I'd done 6 months sober, I really started feeling the benefits. I started sleeping better. I was handling stressful situations better. My relationship was better. My relationship with my family was better. My relationship with my work was better. And I just sort of said to myself, let's do a year. Let's get through the first year. And then that would be a wonderful achievement. And then by the time I'd crossed that annual mark, I was done. I was like, I'm never going to drink again because this is the best version of myself.
I know a lot of people who, when they go through this same type of process, and it doesn't always take everybody a year, but they do see benefits and they go, wow, I am starting to feel better. I am doing good. There was this guy that I knew who he would always go and have maybe a little bit too much alcohol than he should. And what ended up happening was he decided to cut alcohol out, and he was able to do it for about a month and a half, 2 months, and he was doing really well. And then he had to go to a party about 2 weeks after we had had this conversation. And anyways, long story short, he ended up drinking. But what ended up happening is that he just got right back into it. And he made a bunch of excuses about why he needs to drink, why it's a big social gathering, a social event, that he has to do it. But then it didn't stop there. He just went back to his old habits. So it's very interesting that a lot of people, even though they find that they do feel better without alcohol, that it's very interesting to see how they all get drawn back to it. So I have to say, for Tom Holland, it's been great that he's been able to go and stay away from it for so long.
What was your relationship with alcohol prior to that decision?
It was a complicated one because it was my go-to to celebrate and my go-to to commiserate. And as an actor working at this kind of juncture, there's a lot of that. The movie comes out, it does really well. The TV show comes out and it absolutely dies on its ass. And then you go for a job interview that you don't get. And you're constantly like this, which means that you always have a reason to be drinking. Or I felt like I always had a reason to be drinking.
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing that I've even noticed just in growing up. When you look at even media, the media that we consume with movies and TV shows, anytime something goes great and it's awesome, people drink to celebrate. And anytime things go wrong, you always see somebody going to the bar or they're drinking their heart away. And it's a common thing that we've seen so much that it's become normal for us. And then for Tom Holland, this is something that he's experienced being in Hollywood, just as he was talking about, is it's just become normal. And it becomes this cyclical cycle because everybody's doing it, so it feels like it's the norm, but it's not a norm that's necessarily healthy and helping a lot of people.
I was never a bad drunk or anything like that. When I started, I just couldn't stop.
Right.
I wasn't the type of person that could nip to the pub for a pint. Like if I was going to the pub, I was going to the pub to close it.
You're closing it down.
Yeah, I wanted to lock the door behind me.
But not so bad that the cops aren't getting involved and you're blacking out and waking up in weird places.
No. And that's where I've been so blessed to have the people around me that I've had, my brothers, my girlfriend, my family. They never allowed that to happen.
But left to your own devices, maybe. Yeah.
I've polished off a minibar one too many times. Yeah.
So you were like 26?
So interesting to see Tom Holland go through this and find this out for himself, especially at the age of 26, because a lot of people don't find this out for themselves and they maintain this throughout a long portion of their life, and then it's way later on down the line where it becomes even that much harder to get rid of this. So this is something that he's dealt with, but there's a lot of people who are not 26, who are 18, 19, 20, 21, who are also dealing with this, people who shouldn't be drinking underage, but then they end up going and drinking. And the thing that I hope that you get from this video as we continue to go through it is that you have options for yourself and you don't have to go and resort to drinking. And this is one of the reasons that I like when celebrities go out and they talk about this, because they can be a beacon of light for some people who feel the need to do this, and they can see, oh wow, this person who maybe somebody looks up to, they can say, wow, Tom Holland doesn't have to go and drink. You know what? I don't have to do it either. I can also stay away. And we need to have that positive reinforcement for ourselves. We need to see another side of this, that you don't always have to rely on having a drink.
So you make this decision, you kind of weather this discomfort over a series of months, but you did this on your own. Like, you didn't go to AA. You sort of course corrected. You had this sense about yourself, like this is headed in the wrong direction. Yeah. Left unchecked, this is going to go to a dark place. And what's interesting is all of the discomfort that persisted for month after month. Like, there's a difference between abstinence and emotional sobriety, right? Like, as I often say, the drugs and the alcohol aren't the problem, they're the solution, right? Like, they're your best friend because they're allowing you to divert all those uncomfortable feelings that you experience in various situations. And then when you remove it, you're like a live wire with all these emotions. And it's confusing because you've never really had to confront them, because every time they come up, you just take a drink and they go away, right?
This is a really interesting aspect to think about, because we're trying to numb the feelings that we're having. Meaning, if we're going into a room and we don't want to have any nerves, sometimes people might go and take a little bit of a drink, get some alcohol to clear their nerves. And sometimes, of course, they go and they drink too much. The thing that I've always thought about this that's really interesting is I've never wanted to have anything or take something in order to feel a certain way. I always wanted to go and have my own experiences, being in the room, and some of those experiences, I might be nervous and I might be scared, but the thing that I've always thought about, especially from the perspective of acting, is that my whole goal is to be in the feeling business. And the last thing that I want to do is inhibit my feelings. So if I'm going to be nervous and I'm going to go somewhere to an event, I'm going to sit in those nerves and I want to sit in the feelings that I'm having. So for example, if I go to an event or to a party, I don't want to have to take something in order to feel better. If I'm nervous, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to bathe in that nervousness, realizing that this soon will come to an end. I'm not always going to be nervous, but this is what it feels like and I'm here. And the thing that I've found for myself by doing that and not having to go and rely on alcohol to clear my nerves, what ends up happening is that my own self-confidence and self-worth ends up growing and building because I'm getting used to being in those nerve-wracking circumstances. It's kind of just working with exposure therapy. Just being exposed to it constantly all the time ends up building your confidence. So if you go to a nerve-wracking situation, instead of trying to have alcohol in order to clear your nerves, if you just go there and you show up, and you just go, you know what, I'm nervous, I'm gonna bathe in this, but you keep doing this and you keep facing your fears, the things that make you nervous, ultimately your confidence ends up growing more and your acting toolbox grows more because you're used to what are these feelings that I'm having. You're not pushing them away, but you're accepting them. And the funny thing is, as an artist, the last thing we wanna do is push those feelings away. We want to accept them so we also can know what it feels like and how we can play certain roles.
What is your relationship with that discomfort? Like, how did you quell it? Or, what is your way of like working through whatever that is so that you can be in this place of feeling like I'm good, I'm me, I can go anywhere and I don't have that compulsion?
It definitely took a while to get to a place to feel comfortable going into bars and pubs and stuff like that. I think the realization for me was that I'm a very confident person, but I'm more confident when I'm pretending to be someone else, because the ramifications of your actions aren't real because you're pretending. So I would get really uncomfortable and not confident in social scenarios out in public. And
when you're just being you.
When I'm just being myself. And I think that's why I really latched onto drinking, because it masked that insecurity with stupidity, I guess, a little bit.
It's just very interesting in life when we can't accept who we are and we always feel like, oh, I wish I could play a character, or I wish I could go and drink so then I can put on a persona that I don't typically have, but I need this other thing to go and be somebody else. And the last thing, especially for me, that I always wanted is I never wanted to go and have to take something else in order to be someone. I just want to be whoever I want to be. If I have to take something in order to be a certain person, then I'm not yet where I need to be and where I want to be. So I always tell myself, what is the type of human being that I want to be? And then I always take the steps in order to achieve that, but I don't rely on something else to get me there, because I want to be able to be there 24/7. I don't want to have it be like, okay, tomorrow let me go and take this at 8 p.m. Now I'm there. No, I want it to be, that's where I am 24/7. And it makes me a happier person.
That's why I've always had a really hard time with campaigns. I did a Prada campaign, which I loved. And I loved working with them. They were great. But I had a really hard time seeing me on a billboard sell something, because it was me, Tom Holland, not as a character. So I think that's kind of why I latched onto it so much. And through perseverance and kind of gritted teeth and FOMO of not wanting to miss out, I would force myself to go to bars and go to pubs and enjoy the beer garden for the football. And when I realized that alcohol wasn't masking my insecurity or bringing out my best self, it was actually doing the opposite, I then started to feel this freedom of oh, I can just be myself and I have nothing to be insecure about. That's when it started to get easier. And I started to really feel the benefit of not being kind of tied to this drink.
Yeah, this is just the same thing of just realizing that you have something to offer, and the thing that you bring is more special than trying to rely on alcohol or whatever it is to try and take you to another place.
Because at the beginning, as a young kid, you try to fit into the LA world. And now that I've grown up a little bit and I know that it isn't my place to be, I don't try as hard to go out to the LA parties and mix with celebrities that I don't know. But I used to go to these parties and be like, I can't speak to someone until I'm drunk. I've got to get this going. And now that I've kicked that and I found replacements that make me feel like I'm a part of the process without sacrificing my morning, my afternoon, my next few days.
So this is one of the things where it comes down to Hollywood. You just feel like you need to go to every single Hollywood party and you have to go and drink in order to socialize. This is something that I realized and experienced even just being in drama school, because everything is the acting world. Everything is always trying to mimic Hollywood to a degree. You could never go to a party without there being alcohol there. It was always there. And it wasn't just hey, people are having a casual drink or a sip of wine here or there. It's literally that people are having too much more than they should. And people are getting hammered, they're passing out, and there were so many things happening that this was just a common phenomenon that always seemed to happen, both my BFA program, my MFA program, and then even going and just being a part of certain projects, you'll find out, even if it's in plays or if it's in films, that the same thing still applies. A lot of people, again, feel the need that they have to go and drink alcohol all the time, and then there's a certain type of environment that builds around that. And there's some people who are there and they're drinking and they're fine, but there's also a lot of other people who really shouldn't be drinking, but they feel the need to drink. I've met a lot of actors who just have felt that need to fit in and be a part of the group, and if they don't drink, they feel like they're not fitting in. But I'm here to tell you that you just don't have to do that, and that's the whole point of why we're even watching these clips.
So I guess I'm just curious, did that prompt you to do some therapy or to really look at that stuff, or how have you kind of confronted yourself in those deeper ways?
I'm really lucky that I've got people around me that I'm very comfortable speaking openly with. They're by no means professionals and able to unpack things in the way that a pro would be able to. But I've just been very open with my family, with my friends. My friends all drink, and, we've had so many conversations about why I'm giving up or how it's going, or they've decided to take a little break and they're asking me for help on, what's the best way to do this. Facing those demons is just, again, something that I sort of did by myself. The idea of like sort of pulling my socks up and being like, your mates are going to the pub. You're not going to not go because you want to hang out with your friends. You've been away for 6 months. You haven't seen them. So you kind of just got to grit your teeth and bear it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I kind of did that, the more I could kind of let go and relax. And then the more I let go and relax, the more I started to feel the benefits of being free and having a life enriched and enjoying the freedom from alcohol. So no, I didn't ever really seek professional help. I just had great family and friends.
Yeah.
The thing that's the most important is to have the right people in your life and people who you feel like you can go and talk to. So if you have friends in your life that are constantly telling you, oh, hey, I know you're trying to stop drinking, but just come on, it's just one drink. Come on, let's go tonight. And then let's go tomorrow. Okay, it's just one more. It's just one more. People who are constantly pressuring you, they're not helping you on your journey. If you have a certain journey that you're trying to go on, and then people are hindering you from completing that journey, especially if it's in a place that's trying to help you improve or take you to another level of your life or your career, those are not the type of people to help you, especially in a situation like this. You want to have people that realize, oh, okay, you're on the road to sobriety right now. Yeah, you know what? Look, you stay home, no problem. We'll see you later. Or hey, you know what? Instead of all going out to the bar tonight, let's just go and do something else. Let's go and hang out. Let's have fun. We don't always have to go out and drink. You want to have people who can have your back, who are there to support you, and not people who are going to bring you down and make you feel bad or peer pressure you into trying and going to do something that you're not trying to or even wanting to do anymore.
You're right. People think a life of sobriety is sacrificing the fun, but it really isn't. You just have to be bold enough to like take that step to try it. And once you get across the line, you're like, wow.
This is what I want you all to realize. I want you to realize that you do not have to go and drink alcohol. And I'm specifically making this video because I've seen this a lot within the acting world. And the thing is, I'm not trying to say, hey, people can't go and drink alcohol. Hey, people can't go and have a drink. That's not what this video is about. This video is about telling you, hey, you have an option for yourself. Some people, they want to go and drink, they're going to go and drink. But if you're that person who really doesn't want to, you want to stay away from the alcohol, but you're feeling like, hey, you're going to this Hollywood party, or you're taking these acting classes and then everybody's gonna go out to a party and have a drink, and you don't want to do that. You do not have to. That's the whole point of this video. It's not telling you, hey, what to do. It's just telling you that you don't have to feel pressured in order to do this. And the thing is, again, talking about that coin of Hollywood, that darker side of the coin that we don't want to flip over, there's a lot of pressure involved in there. We have peer pressure in high school, but then there's also peer pressure in Hollywood. And that's some of the worst pressure to deal with at any point in time. And the thing that I ultimately want you to realize is that you just have the option. You choose. It's your life. It's your choice. You can make the decision for yourself. So anyways, I hope you liked this video. It took a long time to go through. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if it helped you all. Subscribe to the channel because we're posting 2 videos a week now. And share this video with anybody who needs to see it and they're going to benefit from it. Also, if you're interested in our 10-hour acting masterclass, our 2.0 version, that's always going to be linked down in the description down below and also in the comment section. And then if you liked this video here and you really enjoyed it and you got something from it, then you're really going to like this video right over here. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.